how's everybody doing?
Fine, thank you.
Thank you. Fine.
Wrong.
Every
So I have with me here Phash, aka German Warfare, Spitfire, yes, the moderator and YouTuber, and Diggahole, aka LightFoot Freddy. And today we are going to be discussing the 0.17 patch changes that are upcoming, primarily the idea of firing missiles on the move.
Well, that's going to be something, for sure.
So, what are you guys' thoughts first? Like, firing missiles on the move. How do you feel about it?
as I read, it's not on the move. It's without having aim time for it. So you're just standing, and if you come to the stand, you can fire, but you can't fire on the move. If I am correctly, do you have different information?
No. I think also you can, certain vehicles can fire on the move and certain not. And then you have a
Ah,
delay of less than 2 seconds. So that's what I understood anyways.
The
I mean,
vehicles that could historically fire on the move, like the Leopards, the T series, the Rankers, BMPs, etc., can fire on the move.
well, that would be quite something if they could fire on the move because they are quite already powerful. If I see also the H tank, tier 10, if that one would be used in a constant mobile
A
way.
Manta will be able to fire on the move.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
And that's quite something, quite a big impact in the game, I think.
yeah.
I've also noticed the missile reload times, particularly for tanks that are main battle
Mhm.
tanks, is going to be drastically reduced.
Okay, well, that can be a positive, but also can be a minus again. I mean, tanks quickly loading missiles, that will be quite a party. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know
if
if
I
that's.
read correctly, all the tanks not having ATGMs at the moment get ATGMs if they have only a autocannon. Is this correct?
You mean
Um,
AFVs, you mean, that don't have the combined one, the one with only can fire rockets or use the gun. Because that will be, I think, implemented in the option of using ATGMs and the gun.
Mm-hmm.
What I
So
understood.
so the Weasel gets the ATGM.
That's correct. That's also what I understood.
yes, the Weasel will get the tow missile attached to it, in addition to the 20 mil cannon.
Okay.
Yes, that's
Vehicles
correct.
like the Fox and Terminator will be able to fire on the move with their missiles, as well as main battle tanks being able just to fire on the move. You'll still have to manually aim it, of course. So it'll come down. It'll be a lot more about reflexes, I think, personally.
Hmm.
Like your ability to maintain the target lock than it is about actually aiming at a weak point.
I think it's going to be much more mobile. There's more mobile game, a much faster game it will be, and yeah, you have to be you have to get some reflexes to work the machines, and they're all quite feisty already. The Fox, the Sphinx, and no, the H tank is not so, but they're quite VBL, for instance. If they can fire on the move, that will be I don't know, will have a big impact on the game. That's for sure.
Now, certain tanks like now the ones I found interesting was the Swing Fire and the Striker won't be able to fire on the move. They won't have a delay anymore when they have to stop, but they actually won't. And I found it odd that the ones that are only equipped with missiles are not going to be able to use this feature. What about you guys?
Well, I actually don't know because I talked about it last week with some other people who also quite attached to this game, and they said simply, I cannot imagine that the swing fire would fire on the move because he has
Yeah.
completely different kind of setup, and the same goes with the 1134. So I don't know if it's going to be that will be difficult for such vehicles to fire on the move.
I think
Com-
we have to take a look at this because it's a very big change of gameplay, and if you're firing on the move and you can hold track to the enemy, you need some skills for firing ATGMs, not
exactly.
like now.
That would be
And
then completely
yeah,
OP. I mean,
I also think that like the Terminator will be a new, especially since it goes on sale again next month, will be something to really be reckoned with because the
mhm.
whole firing on the move against, say, a Leopard 2 AV, whose armor is naturally weak to ATGMs.
Well,
It's
they,
So, do you think this is a reason for this change? That the Terminator comes to the market next month?
I don't know. I don't know.
I think that might be one of the reasons. I think the other big reason is that they want to see AFV players rely less on autocannons and less on stationary missile work and more on flanking.
Hmm. Well, that's the idea behind it. What I heard also, and there is a kind of truth in that it will be, uh, well, like the warrior, for instance, can only fire. But I heard that the warrior also gets now ATGMs. So how will that go? Because the warrior is quite a mobile platform.
The Warrior's
So
not only quite a mobile platform; it's insanely well armored
yeah,
for
exactly,
a.
exactly. And I don't know how they will implement ATGMs or a javelin missile or something because you have to be stationary for a javelin for sure because that is the gossip or the rumor that goes that
So
the
the one I am personally not approving for this feature that is apparently getting it is the Bagel Panzer,
hmm
because it already at tier 5 it's already capable of doing 1800 damage on the move with its 8 round clip,
hmm
and then it's going to fire a 500-point missile behind that immediately without having to stop.
that will
But
be
maybe the autocannons get some nerf. I don't know.
yeah. I think in general they will get be nerfed somehow. I think in the firepower and
It's
the
probably likely to be penetration and damage.
yeah, exactly. That will simply being nerfed a little bit down, and then it's tweaking and shoving some numbers around. I think because you cannot simply, as the game is now, change these settings. I mean, that will have huge impact on the game. That's my opinion.
To be honest, I think this is an awful idea.
Why?
Well, I find it is more
In a lot of
realistic. You have
cases,
to stand
this
still to
probably
fire the
makes the
missiles. I
game a
mean,
little bit more campy, as we are likely to see a shower of anti-tank missiles everywhere. On pipelines, for instance, given the speed of anti-tank missiles, trying to go up to the refinery will probably result in instant death if you get spotted.
yeah, yeah,
Especially when it comes to missiles with
yeah,
multiple anti-tank missiles,
yeah,
so they'll just slam at you repeatedly.
yeah. But they're going to be increased. The speed will also be increased of the
Yeah,
missiles.
I,
the
I,
speed
I,
will
I
increase
think
as
this
well.
is going to also be counteracted by the implementation of 15 smoke charges for
Yeah,
everyone.
but once every
Yeah,
45 seconds. So that means either you sit there and hope you get the two
But
of
it
you,
only
or you're going to
takes
get
one
smoked and
person.
immediately popped.
It
yeah,
only takes one person firing the smoke to
yeah.
cover everyone up on pipelines, for
Exactly,
instance. So it takes
exactly,
one player having a brain to prevent that whole sniping situation we
exactly.
currently have on pipelines.
Given that rarely happens on refinery, I doubt that will happen. Well, the pipelines.
Well, I
So,
think.
but we will see much more spamming of ATGMs in future,
Hmm.
and I think you will really need this smoke rounds.
You will.
In this
At the
setup, yeah. If the
at the
mobility,
moment,
yeah,
not very much players are using the smokes,
true, it's true, true.
and getting this better to work will make World of Tanks, Armored Warfare more different from World of Tanks.
Hmm.
So
I,
yeah,
I also think that when they add these changes, they may be also redoing the training mission that everyone has to do at the start of the game and go back and redo that mission. It's going to teach you smoke and ATGMs, even
Yeah,
though it's only lower tier vehicles. Because that would obviously be the optimal thing you want to do is redo your training mission if you're starting to redo the game mechanics altogether.
yeah.
Has anyone heard the point 0.18 any point 0.18 information about changes to main battle tanks?
yeah. That was already been talked about in the developers blog. That huge changes will come in 0.18, and it has to do with simply, uh, well, the whole mechanics of main battle tanks and the high tiers will be looked at, and a lot of things will change drastically. That is already been set by the developers. But how and what is not clear to know, because they will not reveal that now at the moment. But big changes are coming for main battle tanks, MBTs in general.
The mobility inside armor nerf will probably be implemented so you can actually penetrate them with autocannons. At the moment, in most cases, all the high tier main battle tank has to do to get away from the vehicle in an autocannon is just to reverse and slam his ass into a rock, and thus he's invulnerable. Cage armor as well is also way too good. It usually eats shape charges rounds like anti-tank missiles and heat, meaning that if you're in a Sphinx and you've got the backside of someone, especially an ADTDU, your missiles will just get eaten by the rear armor.
It's true.
We saw a perfect example of this. I did a Sphinx review and had the rear of 2 Challengers, and neither of my missiles hurt it.
I also had that happen to me, and that was in the situation as if I didn't have cage armor, I would have been dead.
Well, that's the whole thing. We avoid playing high tiers. Excuse me. We avoid high tiers because they're not fun to play at the moment. That's my opinion.
I find them unfun to play because of the sync drop-in of clans and stuff.
True.
To be honest, in some cases this feels like rigging to me, and in some cases cheating, because they basically just sync drop or go on one side, or they agree to not attack each other and stuff like that.
Well, I know I can only speak for my clan because we simply want to play and have fun, and even if we are opposite, we shoot the living crap out of each other. But the thing what annoys me the most is, and that's maybe also because inexperience, information, that the passive play, and or people stand all behind in the field in main battle tanks because they're afraid their tank gets damaged or bust, because the cost to repair it is very high. And don't forget, a lot of people don't play with premium, and a lot of people don't have so much credits to simply play the high tiers for first. And I think that should change. And also, indeed, the trollish armor of some tanks should change. And I'm talking about the Challenger.
The biggest issue on tier 10 is the pixel shooting, and I think it's my opinion. Or the opinion
Well, that's
of
similar.
players in my clan.
Yeah.
And, but what's the alternative to pixel shooting? That's not.
The alternative is to go to World of Tanks model, which would be larger weak points, but you would have methods to protect said weak points, which would make it difficult to anyway.
Yeah.
In all honesty, these weak points and stuff also makes having lots of penetration useless, because most of the time you can penetrate them with 500mm. Or in the case of the Challenger 2s and stuff, they have so much armor on their weak spots that you can't even call them a weak spot anymore.
Exactly.
I think me and Renner talked about to be honest, 9 and 10 should be treated as in-game content and be treated separately. So yes, they should be a money sinkhole rather than, being like a standard random battles thing. Where tier 8s and 7s can come into them, because a lot of 7 and 8s are...
The difference is too big.
Yeah, are very not equipped to deal with them at all.
Definitely not, exactly.
Speaking of the Challenger 1, there's the other red herring of tier 7, the Centauro 120 damage output.
It's ridiculous.
Being equal to a tier 10.
Also, Renner, you were also talking to me yesterday about how the Centauro 120 can also penetrate the tier 7 MBT's turrets and stuff.
Yeah, I was able to use a Centauro 120 to punch right through the front armor of an MBT 70's turret. Not even at a weak point or anything, right next to the
frontally. Yeah, the right side.
Shot.
Left side, right? Left side, I think.
No, actually, when we went back and tested it with the Centauro 120, I could penetrate it straight through the most heavily armored points of its frontal turret.
Okay.
Didn't even have to take precision aim. It was yellow all across the front turret. I was like, this is weird.
Well, we did similar test with H-Tank, the tier 10, and simply shoot it frontally with a Leo 2A7, and with Armata we also tried it. We tried several main battle tanks.
The H-Tank, I'm not sure which tank that is.
Well, the H-Tank, the tier 10...
T15.
Yeah, T15.
Alright.
that if you stand on around 150 meters, you could easily frontally pen it, and certain spots on the frontal armor. And we did quite closely miniature look how to penetrate on the front. And the funny thing is, when you go up, the whole turret thing does completely full damage. So this whole armor thing in front, what you have with the T-15, is useless. Because if they aim a little bit higher and they shoot on your turret, they simply shoot 800, 850 hit points off you. Very simple.
Yeah,
So,
and there being an AFE, it can't really hurt you from the front.
yeah.
So the last thing I had for a topic today, by the way, was since we're talking about penetration, is over penetration being a mechanic that will be restored. How do we feel about that?
That's nice. That's very
That is
nice.
very
Yeah.
nice.
For my opinion is the over penetration mechanics was the only real reason to use heat.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course heat always does a little bit more damage, but the drawback of heat is too big. Getting stuck in era or cages or something always is a problem to heat. So you're going to a sure shot with non-heat with APDS, or for an maybe higher hit. So most people don't use heat, and if the over penetration mechanics is reintroduced, heat has very much more importance to the gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
And
So-
you'll see players like me start actually putting our ERA back on our AFEs. I took my ERA off my Bradley because it wasn't even helping anyway. Heat was punching right through it.
Mm-hmm.
And then because it adds to the hit model of the Bradley, I figured I'd take it off and therefore reduce the size of the hit model. I did the same thing to the BMP-3. I took my ERA off because it increased the hit model and didn't actually provide me with any protection since everyone
And it
spams
does
Sabo.
look awful.
Well, yes and no. I think it's it makes it looks the vehicle is complete. You know, it looks more realistic because it's used. It's simply in real life it is used. Era packages on these vehicles. So, but if you're gonna look from a game or player's perspective, maybe then it's not nice or it's ugly. And I think that's simply per player different. That's why it's an option. You can put it on or you don't put it on.
Oh, also a thing I wanted to talk about, something which I'm exploring right now, is APS being able to protect vehicles in 360 degrees in at point blank range. You know, like you get behind a tank, you fire your missiles at it, where the APS wouldn't ever be able to block it, but it does it anyway.
I honestly think APS should be a manual activation. That's my opinion. Like if you see an incoming missile, you should have to press a button to turn it on.
Like a smoke grenade or something.
Or otherwise, like a smoke grenade. Otherwise, and it have as many charges as you would expect it would need, but it's not going to just automatically save you every time and save everyone around you. That's one of the most annoying things I've found is when I fire a missile and there's someone with APS nearby I can't even see who blocks the shot.
It's true.
Yeah, getting some more interaction to the game is a good way to improve this game, and the mechanics of increasing the use of ATGMs and the use of smoke rounds are going to the right direction, I guess. And getting APS working manually would be a nice add-on too.
Well, skills. It all depends on skills then, I think. I mean, the smoke is important, and especially when the maps get bigger, it will play a big role. More smoke will
But
be...
you may not forget, most people don't want a complicated game.
Mhm,
They just
true.
want a simple game and a simple game mode, but that's always
Playable.
difficult.
It has to stay playable.
Yeah.
I think.
It
That's-
has to stay playable, but it needs to have enough depth to keep everyone interested. So
Yeah.
you have to kind of balance between the total arcade feel and the more skill and more depth is available if you want to take the time to learn it.
Mhm.
So does anybody else have anything else you want to discuss today? Otherwise, I think that wraps us up.
Yeah.
Well,
you do?
A better social system.
for sure.
I don't know if any of you have ever played War Thunder, but that had a pretty good social system. The ability to actually talk to people in game, like multiple people in game, because you simply just had the tab.
Hmm.
That was fun, as well as having clans, being able to talk to multiple friends, chat groups, and stuff.
Hmm. Well, I think.
Yeah, this is very basic in in Armored Warfare. That's
Yeah.
true. That's right. Destroying my
It's
computer right now.
it's basically functional at the moment. I agree a better social system would be wonderful. I mean, it's nice that we have things like we can talk to people via the text system while we're still in a match, but I don't really know what to do with it beyond there personally.
Well, yes and no. First of all, also you have to. I would applaud a better social system in the game, but it also will have its drawback, and it needs close monitoring because, well, yeah, you still have people who cannot behave in any way in chat, and you see that I see that daily, sadly enough, and so I think you should be able to, well, with your own friends, for instance, yeah, that you do that, that you can invite your own friends, you can talk even outside the game with each other. Yeah, why not? That should be just great. But make it complete also in I don't know. I don't know. It's tricky, I think.
I think in the end, the game needs to not be World of Modern Tanks. It
Mm-hmm.
needs to be a separate game, one that stands on its own and is better than World of Tanks. At the
Totally
moment,
agree.
it is better than World of Tanks because RNG, artillery, and the fact that I don't have to drink strong alcohol every time I play it.
Oh, that was a good
But
one.
in the end, in the obsidianandmi.com, in my opinion, need to make this an individual and not part of the crowd.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. It's true. It's the game has great potential, and I really hope that it will go and follow the path that it's going. And of course, there are certain things not good in the game, but still, guys, it's still an open beta. So, well, I hope for the best.
Yeah, it's an open beta right now. We know that supposedly, according to the dev blogs, that they're gearing up to go full launch, and
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the main reasons behind the 0.17 and
Eight.
0.18
Yeah,
changes.
exactly.
Because they don't want to be like World of Tanks and War Thunder that's perpetually in an open
Mm-hmm.
beta status,
Mm-hmm. It's true.
which I agree with. I personally would be a huge fan of declaring the game as live.
Mm-hmm. I hope so too, because they are making great progress, and I see they're working hard on improving and listening to the community, and that is very positive. I find it very positive. Uh, well, I cannot say anything else, but you know, I would Warfare keep going like this. I mean, the game has really great potential, and I love playing the game. Also, sometimes with just what the Spitfire just said, with enough alcohol and pills, it will make it even, you know. But anyway, no, it has really potential, really, and they listen. They really listen. So
I
yeah,
hope they keep listening.
yeah, that's of course,
Hey,
and I hope they do.
Freddy, ready up, and we'll drop one more and
Oh,
finish
excuse me,
smoking.
guys.
It's okay.
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 Um,
So
anything you or Freddy want to bring up, Phash?
no,
No,
this time not.
but it was mainly the thing that, of course, was the big highlight of 0.17 and the new map, the bigger map. Maybe that's also the issue. What we maybe next time can
Have they
discuss.
actually declared it's going to be larger?
Yeah,
Frontline, yeah, way
Oh,
bigger. Yeah,
more area of play.
yeah, 700 by 700. I understood. It's quite big.
I thought it was 1.4 kilometers.
well,
Yeah,
no. It's what he's talking about. I think is that it's going to be 700 by 700 larger, so it's going to be 2.1 kilometers.
yeah, similar. I mean, it's quite
Wow,
big. It's quite big.
that is
And the test server, because the test server hasn't been up whole week or last week, even not.
I'm just
So
having a look right now.
if that's the case, that's a huge change because
yeah,
that means 1400 by 1400 is going to be our small map.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the CryEngine for what we're doing can render up to a 5 km by 5 km map, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if everybody's computer can handle that.
Well, it still will be an issue, I think. I mean, we'll have to see, and maybe it will be. I don't know, but I understood it's. I think Frontline, the map is going to call it be Frontline, is quite big. That's for sure. So I'm curious.
I think it could also make the larger teams, well, playing 15, not so squashed. I mean, if anyone's played on the NA server does kind of reward individual play because parts of the map, well, because a lot of the map isn't covered like it is during 15 versus 15.
Yeah.
That's the question. If they stick to 15 to 15, or 15 versus 15, or if they gonna reduce in certain modes to 10 versus 10 or something like this, like Lots of War.
Yeah. But they already do that. In North America, I saw them already 7 versus 7, stuff like that. So I don't know. For such games, it's far too big. Then I mean, it's like hide and seek.
Yeah.
So that I don't know. We will see.
We will definitely have to see on that
I
one.
mean, not every new thing is a good thing. So we have to see how things progress, and of course we can all have an opinion, and if it's the right one, leave that in the middle. But we will see. And as long as the game goes forward and progresses forward, and people listen what the community has to say, then I think we can still have a lot of joy playing this game for a long time.
Of course.
So
it has its potentials,
Mhm.
but I hope they don't fuck it up.
Well, my idea is your idea. I really hope, and we all say that also in my clan, the guys, we really hope that they, don't make the same mistake as Wargaming did, and don't make the same this and that. But still, it's still an open beta, so we can actually complain or, well, we have to see.
Constructive criticism, guys. Constructive criticism.
It's still an open beta.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the game is as far as I'm aware, the game is paying for its expenses to keep it running, and they are understanding that this is still the open beta stage. This is kind of like World of Tanks 1.0. It wasn't very good. I mean, back in the day, I remember having to fight mouses with KV-1s, and that's not a fun place to be.
No, it's true. I didn't play World of Tanks. I have still World of Tanks. I honestly admit that, and I also play it sometimes still. But this is mine. Well, I like this more, to tell you honestly. I know some of you guys have been for a long time in World of Tanks from the beginning, even some. And so I can imagine there are a lot more things to be, well, annoyed by, and so on and so on.
I think the initial harsh criticism and all that was these growing pains of people expecting this to automatically be better than World of Tanks without any
Mm-hmm.
questions or any hiccups, and
Mm-hmm.
that's just not how game development actually works.
As well as expecting every patch to be perfect and everything to go smoothly.
Exactly, and I think you have to look at from the completely different. They're still developing, so it cannot all be perfect. If they come with one patch, it will give problems somewhere else. So and that's to be solved then. So stay with an open mind. I think that's the only thing you can look at the game now. I think.
It's a lot better now, and as we've
Mm-hmm.
discussed here, they're looking at implementing patches that would make it much more interesting and dynamic.
It's true. Yeah. And the Lord of War. I'm curious. I'm really curious how that will go. And new vehicles, new lines, a lot to look forward to, for sure.
Yeah, new maps, new vehicles, and new gameplay, new modes are very important
Mm-hmm. To keep the game
people
alive.
satisfied and happy with the game.
Mm-hmm.
So there's one thing I would like to discuss to get you back to this. The model of achieving new things in World of Tanks, Armored Warfare, and War Thunder is merely the same. You have to play for new tanks to grind, and if you compare this game to other online games like Dota or League of Legends, where you don't have to grind, you can always play everything you want. My question is, what is the point in grinding?
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. I don't need it.
To be honest, grinding in this game is far easier
Than World of Tanks.
War Thunder. And in the end, it feels to me that you don't need to grind past tier 6. It feels to me like tier 6 or even tier 8 itself feels like a complete game to me. You don't have to. It doesn't feel like there's any pressure, and like in World of Tanks, it's like tear down.
And with the talk of how clan wars are going to work for this game, where it'll be multiple tiers across all boards, that makes a lot more sense, and that every single tier can be a potential tier for your clan to decide this is where we're fighting.
Yeah.
Especially if this is going to be like a mercenary-oriented thing. Different companies have different kind of vehicles.
Well, I think that I understand what you're saying about not want to grind, but the thing is, you also gain experience by grinding in a certain vehicle. And
yes,
and
there are many people on tier 10 who would actually not have any experience with that tank.
true, also true. I completely agree with you. Absolutely. I know what you mean.
We all know what you mean. Yesterday, I actually switched over to live streaming Hitman because the teams had just gotten that bad. I mean, it was nice to see the queue and the server cap getting up to 300, but with the teams being as bad as they were, I was like, I can't take much more of this.
A lot of things. Yeah, the same goes here. You simply have to close down and do something else for a moment. It brings frustration, totally. But
and I think that is the biggest frustration with grinding with this game is there are points where you just have to say, okay, I've had enough.
True. I found, for instance, what I found great in this game is the token system. That when you come to tier 9, you can simply pick a tier 9 that you want, or from a different line, from the same dealer.
That's very nice.
That's a very nice system. And whoever I talk to, they all say the same. That's a great system. And
it doesn't feel like you've wasted your time if you don't.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah. And so there are more such little things that they addressed immediately. What we say, that's nice, and because they looked at the frustrations with World of Tanks players, and for instance, RT. This game, I love RT in this game. It sounds very funny, but it is true, and I like to play it, even because you have a supportive role in the game, and that's what I like, the dynamics.
Smoke and flares and stuff, and it isn't the the occasionally one-shot shooting isn't very fun in World of Tanks. The artillery prevents camping thing.
I know, but it's in this game it's simply and I know that they will evolve. So we have many things to talk about in the future, I think, and but
I'm agreeing.
That's good. You
So
agree?
is there any last thoughts from anybody?
Well, actually, no, not at the moment. But it gives us to think about certain things.
Of course.
Yeah.
So we can get back in 1 week discuss more of these topics.
Yeah.
Well, back in 1 week, discuss more of these topics. Remember, please, everyone, do bring a topic, and it can be a topic your subscribers suggest in the comments.
Okay.
Italky will be joining us next week as planned, and this has been Fiaura with Armored Talk, and I hope everybody else wants to give their own version of their saying goodbye.
Ciao, folks.
See ya.
See you soon. Okay.